Hi, everybody. Erica here from In the Company of Cards. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you for all the comments on the last video. I've read them all, appreciate them all. Want to remind you to put on your calendar December 18th. That is a Thursday, and I will be doing free readings on personal issues. And I'm going to do them at 1 o'clock and at 5 o'clock. 1 o'clock p.m., obviously, 5 o'clock p.m. Both of those times are Pacific times. Um, I'll be answering member questions. So if you're a member of the channel, there's only one level now. I will give your questions priority, but everybody will be able to watch the video. So again, if you're not a member and you don't want to become a member, there's no pressure to become a member. Just if you decide to watch the live, which you can do in real time, um, you think of it as a teaching tool. You can see how Lenormand functions in people's real life lives with their real life questions. So that will be on the 18th, and I will be periodically reminding you. And I guess what I'll do is probably put up a notice to that effect. Okay, so here we are. It's after the Thanksgiving weekend. Today is Cyber Monday. Hope we all avoided shopping at those big three. The big three being Target, Home Depot, and Amazon. Couldn't forget Amazon. Uh, you know, we'll know in time what the numbers are. Word on the street has it, as I mentioned, that this was a boom year for um, commerce. So people shopped. I know a lot of us did not, but a lot of people also did. So, it is useless to sort of decide that you're going to throw your hands up and say, well, forget it. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And so well done to those of us who managed to abstain. And let's keep it moving. Okay. There are five things I want to look at today, and I'm using a different deck. I have a different candle in keeping with the holiday. This is a sort of a Christmassy scent that I've got going on. And I have a holiday deck that I'm going to be using. This is not my deck. This is a deck that, oops, was gifted to me. It's called the Mary Bell Lenormand. It's my lighter fell, sorry. It's really pretty, and I thought, it would be nice to use. I also have a tarot deck here for the last portion of our show, where I'm gonna look at the energies of the month, and I thought I would use tarot as well as Lenormand in order to do that. So I pulled the major cards out of my tarot deck. This is the Black Tarot. This is the one that I use in my Substack. Um, so I pulled the majors out, and I will pull one major for each of the weeks of the month, and then I will pull Lenormand from the Mary Bell Lenormand to clarify. But for now, let us take the Mary Bell on its maiden voyage uh, with our first question. So the first question is, you know, topical, very, timely because tomorrow Tennessee is having a special election. This is for a House seat. This was a House seat that was vacated by someone who, I forget the guy's name, doesn't matter because he's gone. But anyway, he voted for the big, beautiful bill and then went off to leave Congress and take a position in private industry, where I'm sure he is quite handsomely compensated because, Isn't that what they do? Anyway, the good news is that there is this special election. It is tomorrow. The Republican running is Matt Van Epps. He is a very conservative guy, West Point graduate. Uh, the Felon supports him, and he is running against the 36-year-old Afton Bell. Very interesting name, Aftyn, Bain, Behn. Afton Bain is her name. She is very impressive. I will leave you to discover her bona fides. Just Google her and you will see that she is really impressive candidate. And she has apparently narrowed the distance between herself and Matt Van Epps to single digits, which is to say that according to the polls, Van Epps has the lead, but now the lead has been shrunken down to single digits. If Afton Bell were to win, it would increase the likelihood that the Democrats could take the House before the December midterms. Wouldn't that be nice? So I just want to look at this race, and I'm going to pull 5 cards for mm, Matt Van Epps, and then 5 cards for Afton Bain. Okay, so these first 5 cards will be for Matt Van Epps. And you can see the pretty backs of these cards. Aren't they pretty? Okay, so this is Matt Van Epps. And I've stripped this Lenormand down to its traditional number of cards. So I'm only using 36 cards in this deck. I took out the extra man, I took out the extra woman. There is no scales card because that was the extra card that I added to the deck. So there is a traditional, in keeping with, the holiday tradition, just the traditional 36 cards here. They're pretty and they seasonal, and I just thought it would be nice for a change, and I'll let my own cards rest for a month before I put them back to work. They're looking pretty beat up, so I may break out a new deck of them. Um, okay, so this is Matt Van Epps, and then these will be for Afton Bell. Afton Bain, sorry. Aftynbehn is her name. She's a terrific candidate. I'm really impressed with her. So this is Matt Van Epps, and I will hold them up once I um, turn them all over. And this is Afton Bain. Okay, so for Matt Van Epps, we have the key, and I'm just going to cut to the chase and say, when a line begins with the key, generally what you're getting is a yes. We have the second card, which is the heart. In the center, we have the lily, we have the scythe, and we have the ring. Aren't they pretty? So, to me, frankly, with the key here, I think it's a lock for Matt Van Epps. Uh, I think that the MAGA, the MAGA contingent will love him, and they will come out to vote because the Felon and company have painted Afton Bain as this radical leftist, socialist, communist, whatever, which she's not. But anyway, but uh, these voters will come out for him. This is a card they will decide to come out for him. Remember, the scythe is about decision. In the center, we have the lily. I think that even though Afton Bain um, has narrowed the lead to single digits, I think that Matt Van Epps thinks that he's got it in the bag. So he's calm. The lily is about being calm. He's calm. He's sure that he's got it. And then finally, at the end, we have the ring and the fact that the key and the ring mirror each other look like very good signs for him. For Afton Bain, we have the birds, we have the letter, we have the fox, we have the tower, and we have clouds. So you don't have to have been with me very long to have a sense of where this is going. I just mentioned before I think there's something under my notes. Oh, my phone. Um, I don't want my, okay. Um, I mentioned that there has been this smear campaign against her. Birds speak to that. It's sort of, gossip. Word on the street has it that she's this, that, and the other. So, the felons uh what his smear campaign, I'm gonna say, is in full operation. Um, there have been lots of flyers, mailings, all kinds of stuff sent out against her. In the center, we have the fox. And I think, you know, many, many times, not always, I am not of the opinion, although some readers are, I am not of the opinion that the fox is always a bad card. I don't think that's true at all. Why would it represent the foreigner if that were the case? Why would it represent the detective? Why would it represent the medical specialist if it were always bad? However, sometimes it is bad. And I feel like this smear campaign has been quite effective in casting doubt in voters' minds about Afton Bell. Uh, now the tower, that's the card for government. She's already been in state government, so she's not a newcomer to government. But I think that the smear campaign, especially in writing, has really hurt her. Because here we have clouds, and I can mirror the birds with the clouds. A doubt has been cast on her by the felon's machine. They really do not want to lose this seat. So, again, even if she doesn't win, which it looks like she may not, um, the fact that his lead is in single digits against her will put fear in the heart of the Republicans. It will make them anxious, and that's a good thing. Again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And also, energy is mutable. Maybe there are people in Tennessee watching this who were maybe disinclined to go vote, and who, had they voted, would have cast a ballot for Afton Bain. I mean, yeah, Afton Bain. If you want her to win, vote for her. Spread the word, communicate the counter narrative to the felons' smear campaign. Uh, because that's the whole reason that you read cards, right? It's not to sort of see what is written in stone and what is definitely going to come to pass. What we're looking at when we read cards are, where do the energies tend to look like they're going? If we like that, that's great. If we don't like that, we can change the energies a lot of times. So encourage people to come out if they're for Afton Bain, and hopefully everybody else will stay home and the felon will lose. But at any rate, I think she has acquitted herself well. I think she's run a very good an honest and clean campaign. I don't think the same can be said for the other side, but that's always the way it is, right? So let us send her good thoughts, uh, and I hope that I'm wrong. I'm hope that I'm wrong and that she wins. Okay. Um, Speaking of a definite loser, I wanted to look for a minute at Mike Johnson. He is the Speaker of the House, as you know. The Felon has a little cutesy thing he likes to say where he'll say, I'm the president and I'm the Speaker of the House. He's not lying because we know that Mike Johnson is the Felon's puppet, entertainment purposes only. We also know that Mike Johnson has looked quite beleaguered and beset of late. And then he recently did a podcast, I guess over the weekend, with his wife, whose lipstick matched her dress. They were both orange. Mm. Anyway, anyway, uh, the podcast that they were on was the podcast of the very average and really unlikable spouse of Nosferatu slash Joseph Goebbels. That would be Stephen Miller, Katie Miller. So Katie Miller has a podcast. Why? I have no idea. But anyway, the speaker and his wife together went on this podcast. And essentially, the speaker's message was, this is such a hard job I'm doing, and I'm so tired, and it never ends. And people want things from me all the time, and I never have a minute's rest. I mean, are you okay, Mike? Uh, you know, Mike, Mike is in some danger, not just from Democrats, should there be, but from his own party, because as I've seen before, there will be more defections than just uh, Marjorie Taylor Greene among the Republicans. People are really unhappy, and Mike Johnson is getting zero cover and support from his puppeteer, the Felon. And so I just want to know how Mike will be doing in the next several months. Will he keep his speakership? Will he do a Marjorie Taylor Greene and say, I'm out? Let's look at Mike Johnson. So I'm going to look for the man card. There's only one in here. And let's see what we get for Mike Johnson. You'll notice these cards are smaller than my own deck. Typically, Lenormand decks are smaller than um, playing cards or tarot cards, largely because, some of the spreads are quite large. And so smaller cards mean a smaller surface, that you don't need a big, huge surface to read a large spread. All right, so I'm looking for the woman. I mean, sorry, the man. I don't know why I said woman. So this will stand for Mike Johnson, the deer in headlights Speaker of the House. Okay, and I'm going to pull some clarifiers, not on everything, but on some things. Like I'll pull on him. Okay. So we have the ring, We have the sun. We have Mike Johnson in the center. We have the bouquet, and we have the clouds. And I pulled clarifiers on the last three of those. So here is the ring. Now, the ring is, you know, his oath that he took as Speaker of the House. The promises that he made to the felon to swear fealty to the felon. Uh, Sun. The sun can be a great card, but I think he's really seeing now in the light of day how hard this job is. Remember, it's not really a job that a lot of people want. Now, I can mirror the sun with the bouquet. I am sure that the felon has probably made promises to the felon. If you act as my puppet, you will be rewarded. So I think that's pretty clear. The thing is that here's his commitment to the job, and I can mirror that with clouds. He may not last his whole tenure. It could be because, again, the Democrats, some kind of way, win control of the House prior to the midterms, or it could be that he just gives up and says, I can't, I quit. So I pulled clarifiers on him. So here he is, looking, clueless. And the clarifiers are the key, the cross, and the scythe. Okay, here he is thinking that he had it made in the shade, Speaker of the House. That's pretty impressive. The key, the keys to the kingdom, the keys to power and influence. That's what he thought. But look at these. The scythe and the cross, even though this is a pretty Christmassy deck, the fact remains that the cross and the scythe are really tough cards. This is a painful, hard job for him. I mean, look, he kept the House out of session for 50 days at the felon's behest. And then at the end of the day, the felon's like, oh, okay, yeah, release the files. So he didn't even back up his boy Mikey. So Mike is, he feels pain in this job from when he gets up in the morning till he goes to sleep at night. And when he goes to sleep at night, he has nightmare dreams about this position that he's in. Very interesting that we have the scythe here because he could find his tenure cut short either through his own actions or again because his party has lost the control of the House. So that's right in the center there. We have the bouquet as our fourth card, and the clarifiers are the star, the tower, and the garden. I think one of the things, or the only thing really, that he tells himself is that, having fulfilled my promises, having ended my tenure, whether it's early or late, I will reap a reward. That's the bouquet. That is his hope, the star, that he will be in, boardrooms, again, with power and influence and money. That's the tower. Uh, and then the garden is, again, influence over people. People is, all of us. Maybe he'll be part of the 2025, I don't know, whatever, committee or something. I don't know. But he really tells himself, he has to tell himself that it's all going to come right in the end, that all of this sacrifice was worth it, that he will be greatly rewarded by his lord and master, the felon, and the felon's friends. But our fifth card, remember, is clouds. and the clouds are followed by mice. And these mice are very cute. But remember what mice are all about: fear, worry, anxiety, stress. Together with the clouds, they're just a punctuation mark on those clouds. Pessimism. Uh, these two cards together are not great. And we have the letter. This is about votes. And then we have the anchor. Now we know an anchor can keep you safe, or an anchor can keep you stuck. He is facing, Mike Johnson, dissension in the ranks, mutiny, among the uh, Republican Congress. So all's well that ends well is not always true. And for him, it doesn't look good. We have the ring, that's our very first card, and I can mirror it with the anchor. But to get, again, it still feels as though his promises, which is what this card also is, his promises to the felon to do his bidding at all costs has mired him down and mired his party down, has anchored them in a not good way, is keeping them stuck, right? Like, where's the healthcare plan? They don't have a healthcare plan. All they want to do is dismantle the ACA. So I don't think that there is any smooth sailing or good times ahead for Mike Johnson. And as I like to say, I love that for him. He just is, he's miserable. But you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas, isn't that what they say? Um, Not to insult dogs or fleas, but Mike Johnson is having a hard row to hoe. Okay. The next thing I wanted to look at. Okay, so we have Pete Hegseth. And, there are witnesses who say that he gave the order to shoot the survivors from that Venezuelan fishing boat that had been attacked by us in international waters. And there were two people clinging to the life raft or clinging to the boat, waiting to be rescued, which is what the normal procedure would be. And witnesses say that Hegseth gave the order, kill them all, kill everybody. Now, he Hegseth says he didn't say it. The felon says Hegseth told me he didn't say it. But there are witnesses, plural, that say he did say it. And first of all, we're not at war with Venezuela. And all of these boats that have been attacked, the felon is using the pretext and the pretense that we are at war with them. We're not. We know that the felon would like access to Venezuela's rich oil resources. That's basically what this is all about, in addition to it being a distraction from the Epstein files. So, anyway, the witnesses say, including whoever fired on these people and killed these two men, that they did get the order from Hegseth. This is an illegal order, which is why those Congress people, uh, those senators put out that PSA reminding uniform uh, people that it is their obligation to disobey an illegal order. So now there's going to be an inquiry, or there has been an inquiry launched into Hegseth and this whole matter. And I just would like to know, and Republicans, by the way, are in on this as well. There are Republicans who are just as horrified by this illegal killing. as everybody else is. And so I just would like to know what will be Hegseth's fate. You know, will he be fired? Will he be worse than fired? What will happen with Hegseth? Um, you can get executed for this, by the way. There is precedent for that, that he himself can run the risk of facing execution for this uncalled for murder on the high seas. So we're looking for the man, but this time it's going to stand for Pete Hegseth. Okay. Okay. So we have birds, we have garden, we have Hegseth, we have the rider, and we have the tower. So these first two cards, people are talking. Everybody is talking about this. Republicans, Democrats, and everybody else across the spectrum are talking about this. This is the garden. It is quite the topic of conversation, both in public spheres and in private spheres. Everybody's talking about this. And we have Hegseth in the middle, of course, and the rider. What is that? What is the news about this? What message will be sent to the public about this? Well, the fifth card is the tower. The tower here in this case is prison. I think he will go to prison for this. Now, I pulled cards on Hegseth, and we have the bear, the moon, and the clouds. So this is Hegseth. This is Hegseth playing G.I. Joe. That's what it is. Uh, Being a bully, kill them all. He loves that he has that kind of power. He is he these two cards together, this is about reputation, this moon. So he wants to be known as a bad ass, so to speak. Uh, right. So, but the thing is, it was not a smart move. His thinking is cloudy because I can mirror him with clouds. He made that vow that he wasn't going to drink. And then he has his wife around him 24/7, including in classified briefings. I guess she's his keeper to make sure he doesn't drink on the job. But something's going on with him. Uh, I think it's got to do with substances uh, that has clouded his thinking. And the whole reason he said kill them all was to show again what a tough guy he is. Don't mess with me because I'll give the order. Okay. Now we have the rider here. And so that's like a message. So what news is coming in? I think he's going to be gone. We have the heart and then we have the star. Um, I think the heart of the matter is substance abuse. One of the meanings of star is pills, drugs, that kind of thing. but I feel like it's inebriation of any number of, either he's coming down or he's coming or he's high or he's whatever he is. That's the heart of the matter, that he will be dismissed from his position. The felon will not stand beside him because felon already said, well, Pete told me he didn't do it, but there is proof from witnesses that he did do it. He did give the order. So you can see why the felon could say, well, I have to let him go. He misled me. Then the fifth card is the tower, and the clarifiers are the ring, the mountain, and the cross. Okay, so this I do feel like this jail. I think he will be committed, because that's the ring, committed and blocked, and in a painful way. I think he will go to jail for this. I think that there will be calls for some sort of harsh punishment. They won't execute him, but they'll put him in jail with that tower. If he were going to be executed, there would be other cards that would indicate that. But he's going to go to jail for this. He will first lose his job, which the ship shows us. We know he is at the heart of the matter is he's not stable because I think he's under the influence of substances. Entertainment purposes only and allegedly, by the way. So I think he'll go to jail. I think he'll lose his job first, and then he will be brought up on criminal charges, and he will go to jail. Good. Uh, Somebody that I have always seen being fired, well, aside from Hegseth, because I've always seen Hegseth being fired, is Cash Patel. So there was a report leaked to a news organization that when Charlie Kirk was killed, that Cash Patel was, on the airplane and at the site, had arrived at the site, and the conference, the news conference, it was delayed because Patel would not get off the plane until he had the proper size FBI jacket with the proper insignia indicating his position as head of the FBI. And so they had sizes large and extra large, but they didn't have his size. So he ended up commandeering a windbreaker from an FBI jacket. I think it was a windbreaker from a female FBI officer. But then, of course, it didn't have the proper insignia on it because she's not the head of the FBI. He is. So apparently these insignia are Velcroed on to these jackets. So they had to find the correct insignia, put them on the jacket, and only then did he get off the airplane and participate in this news conference and this investigation. You put that together with the SWAT team that's supposed to have protected his not even wife, girlfriend, his just over the top emotional dysregulation. I mean, I'm not going to talk about his eyes because I guess he can't help that. But I mean, the eyes don't help. Um, what will be his fate, Cash Patel? They're saying that the felon leaked the news to the newspaper about the insignia and all of that, um, in order to start the ball rolling so that eventually when he fires Hegseth, everybody will say, well, I mean, not Hegseth, when he fires Patel, everybody will say, well, of course, like what else can he do? So this time we're still using the man, but this time he did a quick change of costume, even though he's going to look the same. But he will be playing currently Cash Patel. What is Cash Patel's future holding? Okay, so again, we're looking for the man. This time we're looking for Cash Patel. Okay, so this is Cash Patel. Hmm. Hmm. So we have the Lily, we have the Key, we have Patel, we have our friends the mice again, and we have our friends birds again. So let me put these down and talk about them. And then I pulled clarifiers on the final three cards. He really thought that, sorry, my head's chopped off. He really felt as though he landed in, we'll call it Clover, and we'll see Clover later on. But he really thought, I'm the head of the FBI. I can do whatever I want. People have to do what I tell them to do. He really thought that he could just write his own ticket. Now, though, he's nervous, and he should be nervous because people are talking. That's our birds card, remember? And this talk is gossip. Gossip about why he didn't get off the plane right away. Gossip that he threw a little tantrum about the jacket and the insignia. Gossip that he threw another tantrum earlier about his girlfriend and her SWAT team that he ordered to protect her. So he's anxious. So I pulled clarifiers for him, and we have the clouds, the mountain, and Clover. I'm going to say that at the very least, he's going to be reined in very quickly, in very short order. This is Clover, but it's not lucky for him. It's just quick. Uh, his judgment is not good, and of course the FBI can't stand him. And so this is a block. Now, remember that there was a guy, I forget his name, who who was put in sort of in charge of Bongino to babysit Bongino. And this guy is a known quantity. Uh, I think he would be probably acceptable to the FBI. Bongino has been very quiet because this guy has been checking all of Bongino's work. Remember how loud he was about the whole Epstein thing? We haven't heard from Bongino in months. I suspect that this guy, again, I can't remember his name, but that guy is the one who will be slotted into Cash Patel's seat. I think Bongino will be allowed to stay because he's been a good dog and obedient to his new master. But I think Patel will be sidelined, and I think that other guy will be slotted into that head spot. I think Patel is anxious, and the clarifiers are the stork, the star, and the coffin. So here's our mice. He's anxious. things look like they get better for us, positive change. Um, because there'll, yeah, and this is a card for hope, the star. But look, hope ends for him, coffin. So I think this new guy is going to take over. I think Patel will get the axe. I've seen that consistently. The fifth card, remember, is birds, and this is all of that talk about his erratic, sloppy work. And the clarifiers are fish, bouquet, and anchor. These are interesting to me because they make me wonder whether he will be let down easy, you know, paid off to go and keep quiet about what he's learned by being head of the FBI, rewarded in some way so that he's kept on a short leash and kept loyal. And I think in the end, he'll be okay. He'll be happy to go. So he will not be, the felon will say, guy, I love you, like you. Wish I could have kept you, but the pressure was too much and you don't have the support of the rank and file. And so, uh, you know, here's a check. Um, go and enjoy. That's what I think will happen. So I think both Hegseth and Bongino are not long for their jobs. Not Bongino. Hegseth and Patel are not long for their jobs. I think Bongino, again, has been brought to heel by whoever that guy's, you all will tell me what the guy's name is. He's sort of he's like the third head guy. There's Patel, there's Bongino, and then there's this guy. But we know that this guy is again checking Bongino's work, keeping Bongino reined in, and he will take over, I suspect, for Patel when Patel gets the axe. Okay. Um, let's look at the felon's health, shall we? Uh, I thought he would be gone by October. I wasn't the only one, but they say only the good die young. Oh God. Let's just give a look over the month at his health. How is he doing? Let's use the bear for him. He's running around and calling everybody stupid, and he released the results of his MRI. It was of his abdomen and his heart. But, my thing is, okay, if you're going to look at those two, why not do a full body MRI and then tell us about his brain? Did they do that full body MRI and they're just leaving the brain part out? He was asked about that. He said, oh, they weren't looking at my brain because I passed that cognitive test with flying colors. What? I mean, come on. All right, we're looking at the felon's health. And again, for the felon, this time I'm going to use the bear instead of the man. The bear is the card for the bully, the narcissist in chief. The bear has other meanings too that are really way more benign than that, but in this case, he is the bully in chief, and that's why I'm going to use the bear. There he is. Okay, so this is the felon. We're looking at his health. Okay. We have the book, we have the tree, we have the bear that's standing for the felon, we have the fish, and we have the bouquet. Isn't that interesting? So, first thing I want to talk about is these two cards together. I think this is really interesting. The book is about things we don't know, secrets, things that are hidden. So they told us about the abdomen and the heart. What about what you found in his brain? They're keeping things from us. Keeping things from us about what? His health. The tree is the card for health. If I hadn't pulled the bear, if I said, oh, let's just look at his health and I won't pull on him, I'll use the tree, then would have been the central card. But I did use the bear. And I was curious to see whether the tree would actually show up in the reading, and it did. It's the second card. Uh, Fish to me feels very, a couple of things. Circulatory issues. I can mirror the tree with the fish. So he is having circulatory issues. We know that already, right? We know he's on blood thinners. We know he has that venal insufficiency, right? We know that. But we also know that circulation, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but circulation happens throughout the body, does it not? It's not just that the blood doesn't flow to his legs or that the fluid is too much, can't, whatever. It's about what goes to his head as well. So his circulation issues are affecting his brain. I mean, I don't think this should be news to anybody. Um, the bouquet. I mean, look how beautiful this card is. And it's just so pretty, right? So things are being hidden, and we are given a very pretty picture of his health that I would argue, because of the book card, is inaccurate, which is purposely deceptive. We're getting the the shiny version, but it's not true. Okay. You know what? Didn't pull cards on the tree, and I should, so I'm going to do that now. Okay. So here's the tree, and this is the traditional card for health, right? So clarifiers are the child, the scythe, and the rider. So I do think that in terms of health, they did find something new. Child is something new. Now, something new that could cut him down, the scythe. I know it's a little elf, and isn't he cute? But he's holding a scythe. Um, and the rider is news. Something new has cropped up that is not good for him. Okay, then we have the bear. Clarifiers are interesting. We have the garden, the woman, and the ring. I think that here's the felon. I will say that this is us, the public. For public consumption, Melania has been pressed into service. Part of her marriage contract, I am sure, requires her to show up at certain times. I don't know if you saw them walking to the plane to go to Florida for the weekend, but I mean, she had high heels on. I'm surprised she didn't break an ankle, or at the least that a heel didn't come off, because he was leaning very heavily on her, and she was having to lean back to guide him towards where they needed to go. He was listing. I don't think it was on purpose. It wasn't like he was trying to push her. He just tends to list in a certain direction. And her job was to, direct him to where the stairs were for the plane. So she has been pressed into service to give the public that rosy impression that everything's fine. She's also kind of his hearing ear dog. Sometimes when they're sitting at a table and somebody will say something and he can't hear. And he'll say to her, "What?" And then she'll tell him, because she's right next to him, whatever it is the person said. So she clearly has been pressed into service. This is an obligation, it's part of her contract. If she wants that money, she has to perform this duty. Okay, fourth card was fish. Clarifiers are clouds, dog, and lily. This is the card for circulation. And again, if your circulation's screwed up, your whole system's screwed up. Here is his whole system screwed up. Cloudy. This is about, inattention, um, falling asleep, uh, language that doesn't make sense. He needs a lot of help. The dog is help. He needs a lot of help because he is getting old. I mean, no shade. I think we know that this office, the presidency, ages people. If you look at Obama from his first day to his last day, he didn't age 8 years, he aged like 20 years. His hair went all white because of the stresses of the job. The felon is an old man with health issues, and he needs a lot of help. Okay. Final card was this bouquet. Very interesting. And the clarifiers are the heart, the man, and the anchor. I think that they are using state-of-the-art drugs for his heart to keep him stabilized. That's what I think. Uh, I mean, he's very fortunate that he lives in a place where those state-of-the-art drugs are available. And we have this anchor here because they want to give the impression that he's fine. He's the captain of the ship. He's keeping us safe. But there's things we don't know because I can mirror this first card with this last card. We are not being told the truth about his health. So now the last thing, I know this video is a little long, but it's all right. The last thing I wanted to do was that I wanted to go to my tarot deck and pull a card for each of the months of December. So that means I will pull 5 cards because, it's 28 days plus the final 3 at the end of the year. So I'm going to pull 5 cards, 5 majors, and then I'm going to pull clarifiers with the Lenormand, maybe 3, maybe just 1, and just see what's coming in. It feels like that could be a video unto itself, but since we're here, why not do it now? Okay, so this is the Black Tarot that I'm using. This is a deck that you can see me use on Substack, where I write using Lenormand Tarot and the African oracle called the Adinkra. I'd love it if you go over there and see my work there. Okay. Thank you for all the likes, the shares, the subscribes, the hypes, and the comments. Your comments really mean a lot to me. They move me. Um, they speak to the kind of community that we have created here, and I'm just really, really grateful. So thank you. All right, so I'm going to pull 5 cards. So week 1 of December, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then the final few days before the new year. Okay. And okay. So the first week of December, we have the lovers. And this is the card for it's less about love, like love, and more about agreements. Uh, and the clarifiers for that are the sun, the cross, and mice. So I think, this could very well have to do with Russia and Ukraine. Will an accord be reached? We already know that the Middle Eastern thing has blown up and Israel's out there doing their dirt. But I feel like has more to do with Russia and Ukraine. Will there be an agreement? And I think it will be abundantly clear. That's the sun. Sun's a great card, but remember, sometimes the sun is just light being shined on something. That both in the Middle East and in the situation between Russia and Ukraine, uh, things are not good. This is the card of pain. This is the card also of worry, anxiety, um, hunger, which is what, of course, the Palestinians are experiencing. So we will learn that whatever peace the felon thought that he had created, both in the Middle East and between Russia and Ukraine, it doesn't take. It doesn't take. That's the first week. The second week, we have the Fool. And if you're used to the regular Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, it's the card where there's a guy and he's got um, a kerchief that's filled with stuff, carrying it on a stick on his back, and he's got a little dog at his feet, and he's on a cliff taking a step off into who knows what. That's the Fool card, right? And the clarifiers are the rider, the fish, and the whip. So, the Fool card is card zero in the tarot deck. It's like the beginning. And I think we're going to learn some new things that will set us on a new path. This is the rider. This is news coming in. And I think that second week, um, even though holiday festivities get geared up, the other thing that will get geared up is the Epstein situation. And the fact that it is not just about the abuse of girls and women and boys, but it's about money. So we will learn more about that. I think there will be maybe people coming out with information that have not come out before, or more files, quote unquote, that we haven't seen before that will come out, and they will really give us an enhanced picture of how deep this goes and how bad it is and how many people are involved, because I think it's way more um, woven into the fabric of this country and other countries than we realize. Okay, in the center, this is the third week. So the third week, this would be Christmas week. We have judgment. Um, you've got spirit judging, the living and the dead. And the clarifiers are the tower, clouds, and woman. So in that Christmas week, this is government being in disarray, I think, clouds. And again, over the Epstein files. By the way, this card in the previous line, this is not women. Remember, I'm sorry, I just want to say this again. The fool, right? We're going to learn things we didn't know before, and we're going to have to ride her. This is the whip. So I think that this second week, I just want to say, this is, in Lenormand, you really want the thing to be central. And here it's a woman. I'm thinking it's the woman, but it's not. It's the whip. So I think we're all going to feel beat up by the second week. Uh, Here again, there will be more information the government will receive that will cause people to doubt the administration and the felon, and this will have to do with the Epstein files. So even though it's Christmas week, we will still hear more. Hear more, and not just hear more, assessments will be made, right? So you could have more members of Congress saying, you know what, I'm going to go home for Christmas and I'm not going to come back. I'm going to do a Marjorie Taylor Greene. My name's Bennett. I ain't in it. Like they're going to want to, make themselves scarce because it's a thankless task to be a Republican in the Congress right now. Tower and clouds, right? So Congress people will be saying, I don't know, is it worth it for me to stay in government? I'm not so sure. And the Epstein files and their constituents' responses to Republican handling of the Epstein files will play a big part in that. All right, then we've got the fourth week, and we have the Emperor as our card. And the clarifiers are the crossroads, the key, and the book. I think if this is the felon, the emperor, because that's what he is, except this one has clothes on, he's the emperor with no clothes. I think, as per the previous line, there will be loyalists in his party who decide to go a different way, who depart from him, who at the very least start disagreeing with him publicly. And this will happen. Key, what unlocks this is all of this hidden information that Congress is going to be finding out. Again, about what? Among other things, the Epstein files. Okay. Now, the fifth card, this would be those last few days, is death. Death is about endings. And look what we have as clarifiers. We have the snake, we have the moon, and we have the birds. I think this marks the death knell for this presidency, for this administration. I think in those last days, when more Congress people say, I'm not coming back, or if I come back, I'm going to vote with the Democrats, they're going to get an earful when they're at home in their districts for the holidays. This will cause a lot of problems for the felon. That's the snake, and for his reputation. People will be talking. People will be talking. So I think that things get more and more dire for him. I think Republicans get less and less satisfied with their position in relation to him, largely again because they will get an earful from their constituents when they go home for the holidays. And I think that things will start to snowball for the Felon. Um, that death card is endings, and sometimes that card refers to literal death. But I will say too, I didn't see in the clarifiers those cards that indicate that, right? Which we know are the coffin and the lily. We didn't see them under the death card. So I think he will still be around the new year, but I think he will have been politically, reputationally, even more damaged than he already is. So 2026 promises to be not just the beginning of the end. Well, beginning of the end. I think we're past the end of the beginning. I think it'll be the beginning of the end for him come January. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to put the 18th on your calendar. Again, if you're a member, I will be addressing your questions first. These are going to be personal questions. On the 18th, I will do 3 to 5 card readings for each question. I'll be there for an hour from 1 Pacific to 2 Pacific, and then again from 5 Pacific to 6 Pacific on the 18th, which is a Thursday. Please do like, share, subscribe, hype if you're inclined. I read all your comments, so thank you for those and hope you keep them coming. And I'll see you all really soon. Take care.